It's planted! Oh! It's a moment of truth, people. But yeah, let's go see if we can score this fork. Hello everyone. For this video, I think I just want to take a moment to talk about my progression both as a mountain biker and a hobbyist bike mechanic, I guess. I'm just gonna take you through a story about how I went from getting the bike I got and why I ended up upgrading it instead of buying a new bike, which in some instances would be cheaper than going the route I went with, and why I ended up doubling down on this route. Uh, I'm gonna show a bunch of pictures about where it came from, the process we went through, bike shops I ended up learning about, and figuring out more about my frame and the sort of riding I do. So yeah, let's get started. So it all started about 9 months ago, beginning of January. I was pretty unfit and I didn't want to start running. Like I wanted to get back into shape, and the prospect of running just did not appeal to me. I tried it for a couple weeks and it was not working. So I decided, you know what? I have always enjoyed watching bikes and mountain biking and cycling, more so mountain biking than road cycling, but I feel like it would be a great time to get into the sport. In the week I was deciding whether to buy a bike or not, I decided to start looking up YouTube videos on bikes, and I came across Burn Peak. That was one of the first channels I found, and basically binged all the videos on his channel. And yeah, it was it was very fun. So I decided, let me go out and buy myself a bike. At the time, I didn't know that there were other bike shops in the country, and I didn't want to test myself with a second-hand bike because at the time I didn't know anything about bikes. So I went over to a local bike shop called Manika. They're the base. They're like the de facto bike shop in in my country, at least. I know they have multiple chains in multiple different Southern African countries, but yeah, whenever you think bike shop, they're the ones that come up. So I went to them and I basically browsed through all the bikes and Seth's videos and my dad's advice came to my brain and it's like, if you see a bike, get one with Shimano. That's all that mattered at the time. Shimano is what mattered. And I decided, you know what? Let me get this Raleigh MC 300. It was the best looking bike. At the time, it was more about what looks closest to the bikes that Seth works with and does it fit me and does it have Shimano? Those were my criteria. And I got the bike. I got the bike for $250 on sale and it actually worked well. So then I took the bike home and started riding like around the neighborhood in some like local trails, just simple stuff, just slightly outside the city. And as I did that, my skills improved. I really wanted to test myself more downhill, steeper stuff, and the inevitable thing happened with tires that came with tubes, uh, punctures. That was the first one. That was the very first thing that I was like, I need to upgrade my tires. So I walked over to Manika and I was like, guys, I want to go tubeless. I don't want to do tubes anymore. And unfortunately, they kind of just looked at me and said, we don't do such a thing. All our bikes have tubes and we can offer you more tubes and the same tires we gave you on the bike, which were all right, but not really enough for what I was doing. So then I ended up doing more research. At first, I thought, you know what, maybe I can convert tubeless myself. Maybe the rims on this bike can convert because I just come from watching a flip bike episode with conversion on it. So I eventually found a bike shop, another bike shop, a small, very small bike shop, and they called Zim Cycles. They had a nice website, and I was like, you know what? I can buy my tires from them, and I can just get them converted to tubeless. I ride on over to Zim Cycles, and at first the mechanics are skeptical because they're seeing this rally bike, and they're like, oh, a lot of the bikes that come from Anika are just just bikes. They're not even mountain bike. I can't even call them entry level mountain bikes. But by some miracle, luck, I guess, I chose a bike that was actually a mountain bike, and with a bit of convincing, managed to get them to put the tubeless on, and it actually worked. So that was my first taste of, oh, I can upgrade a bike. Wow, this is actually very fun. So I do that and I'm riding it for a couple months and it feels amazing what tubeless does. I can control the tire pressure, I can do all of these things. And that's another thing I started doing. I started researching more into tire pressures, into uh, different cornering techniques and all that, how different trails need different pressures and all that. It was very fun. I really enjoyed getting into the technical aspects. And as I progressed as a rider, I also started watching more burn peak videos and got introduced to GMB and tech, which took me on to the let's upgrade the drivetrain because my bike had 21 speed, three in the front, seven in the back. I went to the bike shop because at the time, I mean, I just seen a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it, but I didn't have any of the tools. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I can get the guys at the bike shop. Surely they have to do this for me pretty easily, right? So I go to them and they're like, it's not worth it. You're better off just selling this bike for $200 since it's still basically new and buying this one for $700. It's still an entry level bike, but it's coming with your one by. It's coming with your one by, I think it was a 1x9 group set. And there was another one with a 2x9 group set. And I had to consider, like, I was sitting there like, yeah, I actually have to consider it because at the same time, once I changed the drivetrain, because my bike came with integrated shifters and brakes, I would need to change the brakes as well. So that was coming up to the bike shop quoted me, I think, $540. So for $540, if I was to sell the bike, I would have more than the $700 required to just have the nicer bike. But at the same time, because I had been watching a lot of GMB and tech, I realized that I am more of a, at the time, I was more of a downcountry trail rider rather than an XC biker. And all the bikes that they had on sale were geared more towards XC and lighter trails, not really the gnarlier, rooty, rocky stuff I like to do. I like to ride. I post a lot of videos about that. So I took a moment to think about it. I went home and took a moment to think about it. I was pretty torn. I was like, do I sell this bike and get that one? Or this other one that was going for $1,000, which was still an XC bike, but it had nicer parts. It had a RockShox Recon suspension and it didn't have a dropper, but it had a 1x12 SRAM group set. Eventually, I was so close to just buying that $1,000 Titan hardtail until I realized, hold on. First off, the geometry is not really suitable for what I want to do. Second off, this bike is massive. I'm small. I need a small bike. Which prompted me to go ask the Manika guys who sold me the bike what size my bike was, but they couldn't give me an answer at all. Like they couldn't give me an answer, which was bothering me as well because all the other bikes in their lineup had sizes, but this one that I bought doesn't, but it has everything I want. So then in my own free time, watching Sith, and then I also started watching Park Tool. Park Tool is a phenomenal YouTube channel for teaching how to do your own bike repairs and bike upgrades. I started doing my own measurements. What do I need to convert my bike from a 21 speed to a 1x11 group set? I wanted a high range, a high gear range group set. And as I researched into it, I would go back to Manika and ask them. Unfortunately, they could not help me. They didn't even know. They didn't even know what was required to make it into a one by group set with a cassette. It came with a cluster. So I went to Zim Cycles and they again quoted me that 540, saying that you're gonna need a new rim or you're gonna need to have us relace or reweave up the current rim with a new hub that fits a cassette. So my first plan was, yeah, a new hub and put a cassette on it, we'll lace the rim. And that was coming up to I think $120. Them lacing it up, truing it, and buying a new hub, which was pretty expensive. And I was hesitant to do that. So I ended up just going and looking on Facebook Marketplace, talking to a bunch of other cyclists I actually got introduced to, and I ended up finding a secondhand Alex rims which was in very good condition, just needed a bit of servicing, for $70 with the disc brake. So I was happy, like, oh, I got exactly what I needed. So I got that in. That's one part down in my upgrade path. I then went on Amazon because at the time, again, I only knew Zim Cycles. That was the only bike shop I knew. The other one is more of it's called Cycle Mania, and they are more like Monica than they are a mountain biking shop. So they didn't really have the parts I wanted. So I ended up going on Amazon. Mind you, our country doesn't have an Amazon that is in the country. So we actually have to import either from the American Amazon or the South African Amazon. And that incurs a 45% price off whatever price thing you buy. So it's like if it's $20, add 45%, that's how much it costs to ship it into the country. So then we do that, and obviously there's some delays. During the delays, stuff started arriving. First, it was the shifter and the pedals, and I think the grips. So I was so happy, excited. Oh, I got my stuff. I am ready to do this upgrade. The other stuff should be coming within the week. I'm excited. I am doing my double checking, making sure everything is there and everything seems legit. Everything is good. All right. The other stuff arrived. All my things are ready. I can now set my appointment. Now I just need to find hydraulic disc brakes because I didn't order those on Amazon, thinking because I got quoted a cheaper price at local bike shops. So I went and bought the brakes. I was like, oh, yes, thinking a brake set meant front and left, front and rear, left and right, front and rear brakes. No, brake set is the caliper and the lever. So I ordered one. When I get home and open the box, I'm realizing, oh, it's just one set. They didn't mean all that. So I had to go to another bike shop because the one that I ordered was the last one they had in stock. So I went to Zim Cycles and got the other brake set, which was it was basically the same Shimano MT200. And I was happy about it. I've got my pair of brakes. I'm good to go. And then I'm looking I spread everything on the bed. I'm like, okay, we've got everything we need. Is there anything that I've forgotten? I am picking up the shifter and I'm realizing, oh, it's a front shifter. It's left. I can't use this. So I'm now calling the bike shops I know, and they're like, no, we don't have a shifter for the back for a Shimano D or a derailleur. And I'm sitting there like, oh no, what do I do? And then I asked my friend, are there any bikes? Because he's a road cyclist and he might know some bike shops. And he's told me like, yeah, Revelo Bike Barn, they're around, they might have your things. So I asked him the directions. Turns out they're probably the nicest looking bike shop I have seen to date. And yes, they did have the shifter I wanted. It unfortunately was an SLX. Well, fortunately it was an SLX. The shifting is phenomenal, but obviously it cost extra. I am now sitting close to $700 on this upgrade over the course of I think 5 months, and I haven't installed anything on the bike yet. I'm still sourcing all the parts, so it's almost upgrade day. I go and deliver the bike to the shop. They are like, we'll start working on it tomorrow because it's late. It's the end of the day, and oh, everything is set. I've got all the parts. I go home, sleep tight, and the bike turned out pretty good. Like it was riding phenomenally. Again, I got that same high, that enjoyment I had whenever I changed the wheels, the tires, and it was amazing. I had fun. It was riding the bike with this one bike group set totally changed how the bike felt. It felt like a whole new bike entirely. No noises because I was getting it with a lot of squeaky noises, and now it's silent. It's lighter. Well, it's just a brand new bike entirely. I'm so excited. I'm getting home and I'm watching the Seth flip bike episode, another one, and he's installing a dropper to a bike that's similar to mine, a 26er. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I just did that. Yeah, I kind of spent a lot more money because right now I'm sitting close to a grand underwater, but my bike feels amazing. So I'm riding my trails and I realized something, especially while watching the video, that I need a dropper post. That is going for, I think the one that I ended up ordering, which is a Wafson, was going for about $180 in the measurement for my feet tube. And to bring it in here was 220 or 225. I then was like, I'll bite the bullet. I'll just order it and we'll see how it goes. I did the measurements, I got it installed, and it transformed the bike. I was sitting there like, this bike feels amazing. But now we've kind of exceeded that whole, is this bike really a entry level mountain bike that I just want to upgrade so I can ride, or am I now just going over it and wasting money? Because would I actually advise another person to go out of their way and order the bike I got and then upgrade it? I don't think I would, because technically, it's buying and installing all these upgrades, whether by myself or at the bike shop, ended up costing more than just buying a second-hand bike or a brand new XC bike. But the benefits I did receive from doing this entire process, I've learned how to work on my own bike. I know how to build a bike now. I know how to service parts. And I know what sort of riding I do and what sort of bike I need, what size bike I need, and what sort of measurements to look out for. And for me, that is something I can't understate, because a lot of the bike shops here in this country, especially similar to Manika and Cycle Mania, they won't tell you, oh, this bike is for XC. Oh, it's got such and such measurements. They don't show those things because they just import them in and they don't really come with a lot of paperwork. So, for my final upgrade on this bike, I decided this is no longer just a bike I am upgrading because I want to ride better while I save up for another bike. I decided this is now a project bike. This is a bike I'm gonna do my experimentations on. This is a bike where I'm gonna try out different things, different size cranks, different wheels, different forks, different everything on this bike, because I have been working with this bike for so long. I know a lot about this bike. So I decided I'm gonna bite the bullet. Instead of saving up for a new bike, I'm gonna install a new fork on this one. It's no longer a bike about saving money instead of buying a new one. It's now I'm gonna do all sorts of experiments on this bike. So I went back to Bike Barn and asked, "Do you guys have any forks?" Yes, they had brand new ones, very nice forks, and it was well, they were very nice. But I sat there like, I don't want to obviously come broke while upgrading this bike. Let's start small. And they had these RockShox Recons for sale, but they have a tapered head tube. And I had been learning about tapered head tubes, but I couldn't figure out if the bike I bought had a tapered head tube or not, because the fork that's currently installed is a straight steer, and all the bikes that are sold in Manika are also straight steers. So I went to the Zim Cycles guys, and they were like, "Yeah, your bike is a straight steer. It's got a straight steer fork." They didn't really look too deep into it. They just assumed, "Oh, it's a rally. It's just straight steer. It's just what it is." But then at Bike Barn, while I was asking for the shock, in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh, it's just straight steer now. I just gotta buy the adapter, and I should be good to go." The mechanic shows up and he's like, No, you've just got a different crown race on your bike, but your head tube is tapered," which opened the floodgates for me, because now it was, I no longer need all these adapters to install a more robust fork. I can just have one installed. It's got a tapered head tube, which again made more questions. What is this bike? Who made these frame? Who made this frame? All those, like, I had so many questions now. But then he was saying the problem with the fork I had is it's a 27.5 fork, and my bike is a 26 year. So I went home and I was like, I'll get back to him. I go home and I decide, you know what? Let me research mullets. And upon researching mullets, I was like, this actually fits the sort of riding that I do. Let me see what how if I put a 27.5 wheel on my 26er, how much of the geometry will be changed and will it still be safe to ride? And that's when I went deep, and I woke up one morning, took a measuring tape, rulers, and my measuring app on my phone, and went hard on the measurements. I actually managed to figure out exactly what size my bike is. I figured out what the different geometry settings are. And I have also been able to slightly project how much it's going to change. And the changes were within reason. They were fantastic. But it also brought up more questions for these Manika guys. What is this bike? It's not like your other bikes. One, two, whoever designed this frame was either looking to ride down country or have a short travel hardtail. Because the geo on it is less XC, more short travel trail, but at the same time, it does have XC elements, which also brings into the question, when was this frame made? Again, Monica could not answer any of these questions. And if you guys have any idea when the MC300 came out or who made the MC300, please contact me, whether on Instagram or in the comments. It's all good. I need to know. But yeah, I've I did all the research. You can look through the numbers I've put on screen, but it was both fun and it's a whole puzzle that I'm putting together. And hopefully this shock upgrade is gonna go perfect.
Yo, what? Oh my goodness. It's planted. Oh, what? What? This has been quite the adventure so far. The new forks are performing phenomenally, and having high volume tires on the rear also has transformed the bike feel. It is so plush. Well, compared to like a hardtail with smaller wheels, you know, it's as plush as a hardtail can I get. But yeah, if you really love tinkering with bikes and building parts, building bikes in general, then yes, by all means, I say yes, do it. Buy yourself a cheap or any frame really, and build it to your heart's content with the parts you choose, the parts that you want. It'll be your little bike. It'll be close to home. But if you're looking for a way to save money, I wouldn't recommend getting an entry-level bike and upgrading it, because sometimes, no, most times, although in this country it's a bit awkward obviously, but most times it is just cheaper to get a better bike in the long run. Because look at me now, I've spent a lot, upwards of $1,400, if not $500, I have to check the charts, to get this bike the way it feels. Mistakes were made along the way, changes were made, and I'm not done. Do I feel bad about that? Do I feel like I wasted money? Nope, not in the slightest. In fact, I want to keep working on this bike. It's far from done. But if you are an entry-level guy or you're just looking for a bike, I wouldn't recommend this, because for that same 1,500, you could get yourself a solid hardtail or even a second-hand full suspension. Maybe older, but it's more modern has better parts. Well, not compared to this one, it's got pretty good. It's got pretty up-to-date parts, but like at the beginning, like for example, there is a Scott Spark at the bike barn that's on sale. Perfect for me, the right size. And it's going for $1,800. I've spent close to $1,500 on this bike. Obviously over 9 months, so it wasn't as painful. But I mean, truth be told, if I had known that that bike was there, I probably still would have invested in this one. I am enjoying this. But for another person who doesn't want the headache, you know, the headache that comes with measuring parts, research, testing things out, some parts not fitting, that headache, sometimes just going with the newer bike, the more expensive one, is the safer option. But for me, I'm gonna keep riding this one. I'm gonna keep reading it. Next up on my list is to rebuild a wheel based on the Woozer Pro hub. I just like the way it sounds, and a lot of people give it wonderful raving reviews. So I'm gonna be buying a new rim, new spokes, and I'm gonna build a wheel all on my own, no one else. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Next week's video is gonna be all about pump tracks and how to get there. I'm gonna be learning how to jump high in YT. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope to catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe before I get struck by lightning out here. And have a great rest of your week.